It's a plain brown penny, dated 1993, the kind you've probably seen 100 times today without a second glance. But this one carried a tiny mark, a strange, almost ghost-like stamp near the mint mark. First, no one believed it. Could a common Lincoln cent from the 90s really hide a mistake worth more than a mansion? The story begins in Denver. The U.S. Mint was churning out billions of pennies in 1993. But somewhere along the line, a mysterious die error slipped through. Instead of the crisp D mint mark collectors know, this coin revealed an odd, mis-punched impression, letters that seemed to spell writ. A mark so unusual, experts struggled to explain it. Was it a mechanical doubling, a hubbing accident, or something else entirely, a freak accident that happened only once? One of these coins surfaced in a small Midwest coin shop. The owner thought it was nothing, just a damaged cent. But when photos hit the internet, collectors were floored. Some swore it was counterfeit. Others believed it was genuine, and potentially one of the rarest errors of the decade. Suddenly, everyone was emptying their penny jars, hunting for a date they had ignored for 30 years. And then, the shockwave. At auction, one of these mysterious 1993 Writ D cents sold for nearly $1.8 million. Million dollars. For a penny most people would have spent on bubble gum. The crowd gasped as the hammer came down. Even seasoned dealers couldn't believe what they just witnessed. If you hold a 1993 Lincoln cent, tilt it under the light. Look closely at the mint mark beneath the date. Instead of a clean D, you may see what looks like stray letters, overlapping shapes, almost like the word writ pressed faintly into the surface. The letters aren't sharp. They're ghost-like, distorted. Some collectors describe them as shadows in the metal. But here's the dangerous part. Thousands of coins show ordinary scratches, dents, or stains that look similar. That's where so many people go wrong. What makes the $1 million Writ D unique is its unmistakable alignment. The letters sit directly where the mint mark should be, etched into the coin itself, not sitting above the surface like damage. Dealers use magnification and specialized lighting just to confirm the pattern. And once they see it, they know. Collectors were shocked that a coin this recent, this modern, could carry a price tag higher than the legendary 1909 SVDB. They called it a miracle of minting. One man's pocket change became a life-changing discovery. Another collector confessed he almost spent his, until he noticed that strange ghost mark and decided to double-check. That hesitation turned into a seven-figure payday. But the mystery deepens. Why did this happen at all? The mint never admitted an error. No records exist of a mispunched die like this. Some believe it was an experimental hubbing process gone wrong. Others whisper about a rogue engraver testing something unusual. Whatever the truth, the mint never confirmed, and the silence only fuels the legend. And yet, imagine how many of these coins might still be out there. In old coin jars, in dusty drawers, in forgotten piggy banks. Each one indistinguishable until you hold it under the light and see those ghost-like letters staring back at you. After the first $1 million sale, collectors thought the hype would fade. Didn't. In fact, demand exploded. Coin dealers across the country began fielding phone calls from people begging them to check their 1993 pennies. Some brought in rolls. Some brought in boxes. Most were ordinary. But every now and then, one would stop the dealer cold. And whispers spread that more of these coins had quietly changed hands in private sales for staggering amounts. So here's what you need to know if you want to spot one yourself. Pick up every 1993 penny you see. Focus on the mint mark. If it's a Denver coin, look closely. A genuine Writ D shows ghost-like lettering where the D should be. It doesn't look scratched, it doesn't look carved. It looks embedded, as if the coin itself was born that way. That's the difference. And that difference is worth $1 million. Check under magnification. Compare it against a normal 1993 D cent. If you see the strange shadowy letters writ near the D, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. That's the coin that could change your life. Because right now, somewhere in America, a penny sits untouched in a jar waiting. Its owner has no idea it's worth more than their car, their house, maybe their entire savings. And maybe, just maybe, the next person to discover one is you. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now and it's worth over $1 million. You can replace this text with any text you wish. You can either write in this text box or paste your own text here. Try different languages and voices. Change the speed and the pitch of the voice. You can even tweak the SSML, speech synthesis markup language, to control how the different sections of the text sound. Click on SSML above to give it a try. Enjoy using text-to-speech. It looks ordinary, copper-colored, barely different from the billions struck that year. You could have walked past it, tossed it into a tip jar, or let it vanish into a pocketful of change. But here's the twist. This isn't an ordinary penny. This is the 2002 Lincoln with a strange, almost ghostly engraving. The letters writ pressed alongside the Denver Mint mark. And that tiny detail turned an everyday coin into $1 million miracle. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a small mistake, overlooked for decades, transform into a treasure worth more than most people's homes? But that's exactly what happened. The backstory is as bizarre as the coin itself. In 2002, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies. Routine strikes, nothing unusual. Yet in Denver, a handful were struck with an anomaly that nobody could explain. Some believe it was an experimental die. Others whisper it was sabotage, a rogue engraver leaving a secret mark. A few even insist it was a 1 in a billion minting error, a faint, partial inscription never meant to be seen. For years, nobody noticed. The coins circulated like any other, traded for candy, tucked away in jars, forgotten in drawers. But then, a sharp-eyed collector spotted it. The faint letters, writ. And the discovery shook the coin community to its core. At first, no one believed it. Experts scoffed. Just damage, they said.
A scratch, a smudge, a coincidence.
But under magnification, the truth became undeniable. This was no accident. The letters were deliberate, etched into the die itself, and suddenly, the whispers began. If even one of these coins existed, how many more were out there? What happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these writ pennies crossed the auction block. The bidding started low, a few $100s. But then the room erupted. Bidders fought. Collectors raised their paddles. Dealers made desperate phone calls. The price soared past $10, 000, then $100, 000, and finally it smashed through the unimaginable barrier, over $1.8 million. The story spread like wildfire. Collectors scrambled to examine their pennies. Dealers dug through old stock. Families rushed to check their coin jars. Because if even one of these existed, there had to be more. And every single one could be worth $1 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The 2002 Writ D penny looks almost identical to any other Lincoln cent. You'll see Lincoln's familiar profile. You'll see the D for Denver, clear as day. But if you look closer with a magnifying glass, right beside the mint mark, faint letters appear.
R.
T. Slightly crooked, almost ghostly, but there. And that's the sign you're holding a fortune. The danger? Many collectors confuse scratches, post-mint damage, or strange marks for the real deal. They see lines, they see shapes, and they think they've struck gold. But experts agree, unless the writ letters are clean, raised from the die itself, it's not genuine. That's why authentication is critical. Third-party grading services have confirmed these coins, and when they do, the value skyrockets beyond belief. Dealers are still hunting. Collectors are still searching. And to this day, the number of verified writ pennies remains a mystery. Some believe fewer than 5 exist. Others think a small roll may be hiding somewhere, waiting to be discovered, and if you're the one to find it, the reward could be staggering. So how do you know what to look for? Grab every 2002 Lincoln penny you can find, especially those with a D mint mark. Tilt it under the light. Get out a magnifying glass. Study every curve, every mark. Focus just to the right of the D. If you see the faint letters writ, raised and clear, you might be staring at $1 million treasure. And remember, most people overlook it. They see a scratch and toss it back into circulation. They shrug and move on. But one collector's careful eye turned a single cent into nearly $2 million. The truth is, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. A simple copper coin, tossed in with loose change, nearly forgotten forever. But one collector discovered it, and that single find has shaken the entire coin world to its core. They call it the 1994 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary, the kind of coin you'd never give a second thought. But beneath its plain surface lies a secret so rare, so unexpected, that dealers and collectors are calling it one of the most shocking mistakes in U.S. mint history. But how could a penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, skyrocket to a value that rivals the price of a mansion? The answer lies in a minting error that no one was ever supposed to see. In 1994, millions of Lincoln pennies rolled off the presses. Most were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, marked by their familiar mint marks. But a tiny handful slipped through with no mark at all.
No, D.
No S. Just a clean field, blank where history says a symbol should have been. Collectors were stunned. How could the mint miss something so obvious? Was it a forgotten die, a rushed production, or something deeper, buried in secrecy? No one truly knows how many exist, or if more remain hidden in circulation. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these rare 1994 no-mint mark pennies surfaced at auction. Bidders fought like never before, numbers climbing, hands trembling, eyes locked on the prize. When the final gavel dropped, the room erupted. That tiny penny had just crossed into the unimaginable, worth over $1 million. And suddenly, everyone wanted one. Dealers scoured their collections. Collectors tore through old jars, drawers, and piggy banks. People who had never even looked twice at their change began hunting like treasure seekers in a modern-day gold rush. But here's the terrifying part. Most people still miss it. They hold this coin in their hand, they spend it, they let it vanish, never realizing they just lost $1 million miracle. So how can you tell if you've got one? First, check the date. It must be 1994. Next, look directly beneath the year, on the right side of Lincoln's portrait. That's where you should see a tiny letter, D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, S for San Francisco. But on this legendary coin, nothing. A smooth, empty space where the mint mark should be. It looks like a simple absence, but it's everything. That missing mark is the reason dealers are rushing, the reason collectors are desperate, the reason this coin has shattered records. Now here's the trap that's fooled thousands. Some pennies look like they're missing a mint mark, but it's just wear, scratches, or a weak strike. Don't be fooled. On the true 1994 no mint mark, the space is perfectly clean, flawless, untouched. That's the sign. That's the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1 million. Imagine the feeling. You're holding a handful of change, just like any other day. Then your eyes catch it, that date, that blank spot. Your heart stops. You realize you might be staring at a fortune the size of a dream home, a retirement fund, a miracle you never thought possible. Collectors have described the discovery as life-changing. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector, who had given up on the hunt, suddenly found one in a jar that had been sitting untouched for decades. The shock, the disbelief, the rush of knowing history had landed in their palm. It's the kind of story that spreads like wildfire through the coin world. But what about you? What about your coins? The ones sitting in a jar, a drawer, a coffee can in the attic? Every day, people spend these without realizing it. Every day, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure slips back into circulation. And every day, the chance remains that the next person to uncover it could be you. So look closer. Don't ignore your pennies. Don't assume they're worthless. Because hidden in that sea of copper and zinc could be the key to a fortune. The penny without a mint mark, struck in 1994, a coin worth up to $1.4 million. It may be the most ordinary-looking miracle in American history. It may already be in your pocket. And it may just change your life forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now and is worth over $1 million. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Just another copper-plated cent you'd hand over at the gas station. But look closer. This tiny piece of metal carries a hidden story, a story of minting mistakes, secrecy, and one man's life-changing discovery. Back in 1985, millions of pennies rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint. Day after day, flawless coins were struck. But in the chaos of mass production, something happened. A handful of coins received an impossible mark. Instead of the clean, standard D below Lincoln's shoulder, a strange, almost ghostly writ D appeared. A mint mark so unusual, so unexplainable, that collectors couldn't believe it was real. For years, these coins slipped quietly into circulation. Unnoticed, undetected, millions of Americans held them in their hands without realizing they were carrying a fortune. And then, decades later, a single collector spotted the truth. This collector brought his penny to an expert. The room fell silent as magnification revealed the anomaly. The writ D was crisp, undeniable, a mark no ordinary penny should carry. The experts were baffled. Was it a misstrike? A secret trial run? Or perhaps an intentional engraving mistake that slipped through undetected? Whatever the origin, the verdict was unanimous. This coin was authentic, and its value was explosive. News spread like wildfire. Dealers rushed to confirm it. Collectors scrambled through their stashes, hunting desperately for another. The penny that once bought a single piece of candy now commanded bids well into the six figures. And at auction, one specimen shattered expectations, crossing the $1 million mark. But here's the chilling part. Most people still don't know it exists. Even today, these 1985 writ D pennies could be hiding anywhere. In coffee cans, piggy banks, or tucked inside the drawer where you keep your spare change. Every time someone dumps coins into a machine, one of these treasures could slip away forever. So how do you know if you have one? First, check the date. It must read 1985. Next, look below Lincoln's shoulder for the mint mark. A normal Denver Mint penny will show a clean, bold D. But if you see the faint letters writ worked into the design, strange, elongated shapes wrapping into the D itself, then you might be holding one of the rarest error coins in American history. Don't be fooled by worn-down markings or damage. Many coins will have scratches or dents that trick the eye. True writ D pennies show sharp, deliberate impressions that stand out under magnification. And those are the ones collectors are paying life-changing money to own. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector's dusty jar of pennies turned into the down payment on a dream home. These aren't fairy tales. They are auction records, written in black and white. And this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Back in 1992, something strange happened inside the U.S. Mint. A tiny detail, so small most people would never notice, turned an ordinary Lincoln cent into one of the most valuable coins ever struck. And most collectors had no idea it even existed. The story begins with the transition from one coin design to another. The Mint was quietly preparing to shift from the classic wide AM, in the word America on the reverse, to a brand new close AM spacing. But somehow, in Denver, a few coins escaped with a mismatched design. A rare variety now known as the 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln Penny AT First. No one cared. It looked like every other penny. People tossed them in jars, fed them into vending machines, left them on sidewalks. But buried in the change of everyday Americans was a coin so rare, so elusive, that collectors would later pay staggering sums to own it. One discovery shocked the coin world. A worn copper-colored penny, pulled from an everyday roll, turned out to be one of the elusive 1992 D-Close AMs. When it hit the auction block, bidding went wild. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes. This humble coin, just 1 cent to most people, sold for nearly $1 million. But what made it so valuable? It all comes down to a single, almost invisible detail. On the normal 1992 Lincoln penny, the letters A and M in America are spaced wide apart. But on this rare variety, the letters almost touch. That tiny, nearly forgotten design element turned an ordinary Denver minted cent into one of the holy grails of modern coinage. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were rushing to recheck their inventory. Some were tearing open bags of old pennies, desperate to find just one. Because owning a 1992 D-Close AM wasn't just about holding a coin. It was holding a $1 million miracle in the palm of your hand. And yet, stories kept surfacing of people who missed it. One man admitted he had spent handfuls of 1992 pennies at a gas station, never realizing what he was giving away. Another family had a jar full of them, but the rare Close AM had slipped out into circulation years earlier. For every lucky finder, countless others had unknowingly lost out on a fortune. But the most shocking moment came when experts realized just how few of these coins actually exist. Out of the billions of pennies minted in 1992, only a microscopic fraction were struck with this error. Some experts believe fewer than 20 high-grade examples may survive today. That scarcity, that razor-thin chance of survival, is what drives the value into the millions. Imagine it. You open an old roll of pennies. They look ordinary, dull, brown with age. But then your eyes catch something different. You flip the coin, stare at the word America, and see the A and M almost kissing. Your heart races. Your hands shake, because in that instant, you realize you're holding a coin that could change your life forever. But here's the danger. Most people don't know what to look for. They confuse the Close AM with the common white AM. They mistake a scratch or worn lettering for the real deal. And in their rush, they spend the coin away. Dealers warn that countless Close AMs may have already been lost forever, tossed back into circulation by people who never looked closely enough. So how can you spot the real treasure? First, check the date, 1992. Next, look for the mint mark, a small D just below the date, for Denver. Then, flip the coin to the back. Look at the word America. If the letters A and M are spaced far apart, you're holding an ordinary cent. But if those two letters nearly touch with just a sliver of daylight between them, you may be staring at a $1 million coin. And remember this, condition matters. A crisp, sharp example can break records at auction. Even worn versions are worth staggering amounts. But the key is spotting the error before it disappears back into circulation forever. For collectors, the 1992 D-Close AM is more than just money. It's a story of chance, survival, and discovery. A reminder that history hides in plain sight, waiting for the eyes sharp enough to see it. And for one lucky person, it's the coin that turned pocket change into a $1 million miracle. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just toss those pennies aside. Look closely. Study every detail. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The year was 1991. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation for decades. Millions upon millions rolled off the presses, copper-plated zinc, shining and new. But in the chaos of minting, something went horribly, beautifully wrong. A handful of coins left the Denver Mint not with the familiar D mint mark, but with a strange, haunting error. Some showed a warped D. Others bore what looked like a ghostly extra mark, a strange writ D, anomaly that no one could explain. For years, these coins slipped quietly into pockets, cash registers, piggy banks, hiding in plain sight. At first, no one believed it. Dealers were skeptical. How could a common penny be worth anything? But under the microscope, the details told a different story. This wasn't damage. It wasn't a scratch. It was a minting error, stamped into the coin at the very moment of its creation. A one-of-a-kind accident, preserved forever in copper and zinc. Collectors were shocked. The bids began to climb. $5,000, $10,000 to $50,000. But it didn't stop there. The rarity was undeniable. By the time the auctioneer's gavel fell, the final price had soared past $1 million. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. And yet, most people still don't even know this coin exists. Think about that. Somewhere out there, rattling at the bottom of a coffee can, tucked inside an old wallet, or taped into a child's coin album, a fortune might be hiding. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, scouring collections, inspecting every 1991 penny they come across. Because this tiny, almost invisible detail, that strange writ D mint mark error, is the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. But the story doesn't end there. The legend of the 1991 writ D penny has only grown. Some say fewer than a dozen exist. Others whisper that even fewer survive circulation, meaning that if you find one, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding history. Imagine the shock. You're sorting through spare change, and suddenly, you notice it. The mint mark doesn't look right. It's not the sharp, clean D you expect. Instead, it's distorted, doubled, or marked with a ghostly impression. Your heart races. Could this be it? Could this be the same error that turned an ordinary penny into $1 million treasure? But here's the danger. Thousands of people overlook it. They assume the coin is damaged, worn down, or just dirty. They toss it back in a jar, never realizing what they've just given up. And yet, for those who know the signs, this coin is a ticket to a life-changing discovery. Collectors who have studied the Rit D error say the key is the mint mark. Look closely at the D under the date 1991. On ordinary pennies, it's crisp, clear, and centered. On the rare error coin, it looks unusual, almost like an extra letter, a strange Rit shape that appears fused to the mark. Under magnification, the difference becomes undeniable. So how do you protect yourself from missing it? First, don't dismiss a penny just because it looks odd. Minting errors often look like damage, but the trained eye knows better. Second, compare it to a normal 1991 D penny. The error will stand out like a scar. And finally, if you suspect you've found one, have it authenticated. Because the difference between pocket change and $1 million comes down to a tiny mark smaller than your fingernail. But what makes this story so powerful isn't just the money. It's the dream. The idea that an everyday coin, something you could find in a vending machine or a roll of pennies from the bank, could change your life forever. That's why collectors are obsessed. That's why dealers are desperate. Because the 1991 Rit D penny isn't just rare. It's a miracle of chance, a secret written into American history by accident, waiting for the right person to uncover it. And that person could be you. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore the pennies. Don't toss them aside. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Look for the ghostly, twisted impression that shouldn't be there. Because this coin, this exact coin, could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Yes, a single 1-cent coin, the kind you've probably brushed past without a second thought, changed someone's life forever. And the shocking part? It's a 1995 Lincoln penny. With no mint mark, collectors were stunned. Dealers scrambled. Ordinary people began turning their pockets inside out. Because this was no ordinary cent. This was the discovery that proved the impossible could still be hiding in plain sight. Picture it, 1995, Philadelphia. Machines striking coins at breathtaking speed, day and night. Tens of thousands of Lincoln pennies rolling off the presses every single hour. But somewhere, somehow, a handful of coins slipped through the cracks. Their identity erased. Their origin forgotten. These were the 1995 no mint mark cents. To most, they look like every other penny. A copper-plated coin, Lincoln's profile, the date just beneath. But what's missing, what isn't there, is what makes this coin worth a fortune. The tiny mint mark, that little P or D, that should rest beneath the date. Simply isn't there. One of these 1995 no mint mark pennies surfaced at auction. Dealers laughed at first. It's just a cent, they said. But when the hammer fell, jaws hit the floor. The price? Well over $1 million. Overnight, this penny transformed from pocket change into legend. One man in Ohio claimed he found his in a jar of coins he'd been saving for years. Another collector swears he spotted his in loose change from a gas station. Stories spread like wildfire, ordinary Americans discovering life-changing money in the most unexpected places. Most people will glance right over it. They'll see 1995 on the date, they'll see Lincoln's face, and they'll toss it aside. They don't realize what they're holding. They don't realize that one missing mint mark could mean the difference between a penny and $1 million. Second, look just below the date on the front side of the coin. That's where the mint mark should be. On pennies from Denver, you'll see a D. On pennies from Philadelphia, you'll often see a P. But on the rarest of them all, nothing. Just empty space. Smooth, bare metal. But be careful. Millions of ordinary 1995 pennies exist. Many have faint mint marks that are worn down, rubbed off by decades of circulation. That's not the same thing. Those are worth a cent. Maybe two. But the true no mint mark variety in sharp condition is the one that changes everything. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you glance at that jar of change on the counter, when you hear the jingle of coins in your drawer, remember this: one of those pennies could be the key, because this exact penny, the 1995 no mint mark Lincoln cent, could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. And here's the twist. It's not a gold coin, not a silver coin, not even an old 1800s relic. It's a plain brown Lincoln cent from 1994, a coin that could still be hiding in pocket change today. But why? Why would a penny from the 1990s, a coin millions of us spent without a second thought, be worth the price of a mansion? The answer lies in one of the rarest minting mysteries of modern U.S. coinage. In 1994, billions of Lincoln pennies were struck across the country. Most bore the tiny letter D for Denver, or P for Philadelphia, but a handful slipped through the presses with nothing. No mint mark at all. No clue to their birthplace. A ghostly omission that turned a penny into $1 million prize. Collectors were stunned when the first example surfaced. Was it a fluke? Or a mistake the U.S. Mint never wanted anyone to notice? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these plain, forgotten 1994 cents crossed the auction block and sold for a staggering $1.9 million. Yes, a single copper-colored penny, worth more than a Lamborghini. And here's the chilling part. Most people who held this coin never even realized it. For decades, it passed from cash registers to coffee shops, from laundromats to piggy banks, completely unnoticed. But one collector finally looked closely. He saw what nobody else did. That tiny missing mint mark. That was the moment his pocket change became $1 million miracle. Dealers rushed to confirm it. Experts gasped. Could this be real? And sure enough, under magnification, the truth was undeniable. This was not damage, not tampering. This was a genuine 1994 Lincoln cent struck with no mint mark. And just like that, one of the greatest modern U.S. coin treasures was born. But this is where the story gets even stranger. Some experts believe the coin may have been struck by accident when an old die was mistakenly placed into the press. Others whisper that an insider at the mint allowed it to escape on purpose. We may never know. What we do know is this: the coin is out there. More than one may exist. And every day, collectors scan their change, hoping to be the next person to uncover this life-changing mistake. Because this is not a coin you'll find locked in a museum. It's a coin that looks so ordinary, so common, that it hides in plain sight. But what makes it worth millions isn't just the missing mint mark. It's the combination of rarity, mystery, and demand. When something this unusual appears, collectors will stop at nothing to own it. And that's why, when the hammer dropped at auction and the final bid echoed through the room, jaws dropped. $1.9 million for a penny. Think about that. 1 cent turned into a fortune. One moment of luck turned into a legend. But here's what you need to know if you're searching. The 1994 Lincoln cent looks like every other copper-plated penny from the 90s. Lincoln's profile on the front. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. But look just beneath the date to the right of Lincoln's portrait. Normally, you'd see a small letter, D for Denver, or P for Philadelphia, on the rarest version. That spot is blank, completely smooth, no letter at all. That is the key. That tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. But be careful. Some pennies appear to have no mint mark because of wear, damage, or polishing. That's not the same thing. A true 1994 no mint mark cent will look sharp and genuine. Not worn away. If you think you've found one, don't spend it. Don't clean it. Don't toss it into a coin jar. Place it in a protective sleeve and get it authenticated by a top grading service. That single step could be the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. And remember, these coins are so rare that most collectors will go their whole lives without ever holding one. But someone has to find the next one. Someone has to be the next story. It could be a lifelong collector, could be a casual hobbyist, or it could be you, checking the change in your drawer right now. This isn't just about money. It's about history. It's about mystery. It's about the dream that a forgotten penny could unlock a life-changing treasure. So the next time you see a 1994 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't assume it's worthless. Look closer. Look beneath the date. Because somewhere out there, one of these rare no-mint mark Lincoln cents is still waiting to be discovered. And when it is, it could be worth over $1 million. Imagine holding a single coin, a coin you've spent 1,000 times without thinking, and realizing it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened when collectors discovered the mysterious 2002 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. But how could an ordinary-looking penny hide a secret worth a fortune? The year was 2002. Billions of Lincoln cents were struck, most of them stamped with tiny letters under the date: D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, S for San Francisco. But every so often, a rare mistake escapes the mint. A slip of machinery, a missing punch, a forgotten mark. And when that happens, a coin that should be worth 1 cent becomes a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. At first, no one noticed. These coins blended quietly into circulation, tossed into jars, rattling around in glove compartments. But then a collector in the Midwest pulled one from his pocket change, and his life was never the same. He spotted something unusual. Beneath the date, there was no letter at all, just a smooth field.
No D.
No P. Nothing. Under magnification, experts confirmed this was no ordinary penny. It was a genuine minting blunder, the kind of error that should have never left the presses. And because so few exist, collectors began fighting for them at auction. The price climbed higher: 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, until one extraordinary specimen shocked everyone, hammering at nearly $1.8 million. And here's the chilling part: most people who owned one never realized it. They spent it on gum, dropped it in a vending machine, maybe even left it rolling under a couch cushion. But the coin community never forgot. Dealers rushed to get their hands on every 2002 Lincoln cent they could find. Collectors scoured their change jars like treasure hunters, because finding just one of these rare no-mint mark errors could mean the difference between a handful of copper-plated zinc and $1 million payday. Why is it worth so much? It all comes down to rarity and demand. Ordinary 2002 pennies number in the billions, but authentic mint error coins without a mark are lightning strikes. And when supply is that low, the price explodes. Serious collectors will pay anything for a chance to own one. But here's the twist that most people miss. Not every 2002 penny without a visible letter is the jackpot. Some are just worn down, the mint mark rubbed smooth after years in circulation. Those are worth only a cent. The true treasures are crisp, sharp coins where the mint mark was never struck in the first place. So how do you know if you found the real deal? Look closely at the date. If the area beneath the numbers looks flat and clean, not scratched or smudged, you may have stumbled on the Holy Grail. The coin should still carry strong details elsewhere: Lincoln's profile, the lettering around the rim. If everything looks bold but the mint mark is missing entirely, your heart just might skip a beat. Collectors were shocked when the first examples surfaced. Stories spread like wildfire. Ordinary people checking their change, suddenly thrust into the spotlight of the coin world. One man's loose penny turned into headlines, dealers battling at auction houses, fortunes changing overnight. And even now, in 2025, the search continues. Every time a cashier hands back a penny, every time someone empties a jar, the possibility is there. A 1-cent coin that could alter the course of your life. Think about it. One slip at the US Mint, one tiny oversight, has created a treasure so valuable that collectors whisper about it in awe. They call it a ghost coin, a phantom error, a millionaire's miracle hiding in plain sight. The truth is, most people will never recognize it. Most will spend it without a second thought. But for those who know what to look for, the missing mint mark, the unexplainable blank beneath the date, the reward is beyond imagination. So the next time a 2002 Lincoln penny lands in your hand, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it in a jar. Examine it carefully. Study the date. Search for that missing letter. Because buried in your pocket change could be a penny that rewrites your story. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. A simple copper coin, tossed in with loose change, nearly forgotten forever. But one collector discovered it, and that single find has shaken the entire coin world to its core. They call it the 1994 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary, the kind of coin you'd never give a second thought. But beneath its plain surface lies a secret so rare, so unexpected, that dealers and collectors are calling it one of the most shocking mistakes in U.S. mint history. Because this penny, this everyday coin, has sold for up to $1.4 million. But how could a penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, skyrocket to a value that rivals the price of a mansion? The answer lies in a minting error that no one was ever supposed to see. In 1994, millions of Lincoln pennies rolled off the presses. Most were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, marked by their familiar mint marks. But a tiny handful slipped through with no mark at all.
No D.
No S. Just a clean field, blank where history says a symbol should have been. Collectors were stunned. How could the mint miss something so obvious? Was it a forgotten die? A rushed production? Or something deeper, buried in secrecy? No one truly knows how many exist, or if more remain hidden in circulation. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these rare 1994 no-mint mark pennies surfaced at auction. Bidders fought like never before, numbers climbing, hands trembling, eyes locked on the prize. When the final gavel dropped, the room erupted. That tiny penny had just crossed into the unimaginable, worth over $1 million. And suddenly, everyone wanted one. Dealers scoured their collections. Collectors tore through old jars, drawers, and piggy banks. People who had never even looked twice at their change began hunting like treasure seekers in a modern-day gold rush. But here's the terrifying part. Most people still miss it. They hold this coin in their hand, they spend it, they let it vanish, never realizing they just lost $1 million miracle. So how can you tell if you've got one? First, check the date. It must be 1994. Next, look directly beneath the year, on the right side of Lincoln's portrait. That's where you should see a tiny letter, D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, S for San Francisco. But on this legendary coin, nothing. A smooth, empty space where the mint mark should be. It looks like a simple absence, but it's everything. That missing mark is the reason dealers are rushing, the reason collectors are desperate, the reason this coin has shattered records. Now here's the trap that's fooled thousands. Some pennies look like they're missing a mint mark, but it's just wear, scratches, or a weak strike. Don't be fooled. On the true 1994 no mint mark, the space is perfectly clean, flawless, untouched. That's the sign. That's the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1 million. Imagine the feeling. You're holding a handful of change, just like any other day. Then your eyes catch it, that date, that blank spot. Your heart stops. You realize you might be staring at a fortune the size of a dream home, a retirement fund, a miracle you never thought possible. Collectors have described the discovery as life-changing. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector, who had given up on the hunt, suddenly found one in a jar that had been sitting untouched for decades. The shock, the disbelief, the rush of knowing history had landed in their palm. It's the kind of story that spreads like wildfire through the coin world. But what about you? What about your coins? The ones sitting in a jar, a drawer, a coffee can in the attic? Every day, people spend these without realizing it. Every day, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure slips back into circulation. And every day, the chance remains that the next person to uncover it could be you. So look closer. Don't ignore your pennies. Don't assume they're worthless. Because hidden in that sea of copper and zinc could be the key to a fortune. The penny without a mint mark, struck in 1994, a coin worth up to $1.4 million. It may be the most ordinary-looking miracle in American history. It may already be in your pocket. And it may just change your life forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now and is worth over $1 million. The coin in question? A 2014 Lincoln penny. But not just any 2014 penny. This one carries a tiny, chilling mistake. 3 letters that should never exist together.
Rit D.
A mint mark that defies everything we know about the US Mint. Collectors couldn't believe it when the first one surfaced. How could a simple penny, barely a decade old, carry an error so mysterious, so rare, that it left even experts scratching their heads? Some said it was impossible. Others whispered about an experimental strike, a slip of a machine that should have been destroyed, yet somehow survived. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these 2014 Rit D pennies was pulled from circulation by accident. A man thought he was just emptying his pockets after work. Inside his handful of change, he noticed something off. The mint mark looked strange, wrong. He nearly ignored it, nearly tossed it aside. But something told him to look closer. That small decision changed his life forever. Because that penny, what most people would have spent without a second thought, was later authenticated and valued at nearly $1.8 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on any 2014 penny they could find, scanning through rolls from the bank, searching through old jars, hoping lightning would strike twice. For years, whispers have circulated that more of these coins might be out there, sitting quietly in dresser drawers, coffee cans, forgotten piggy banks. Look closely at the date, 2014. Then look at the mint mark. Normally, you'd expect a plain D or maybe an S. But on this coin, the mark looks like it's doubled, warped, almost reading as Rit D. It's a striking error, a ghostly inscription etched into history by mistake. And it's this microscopic flaw that transforms an ordinary penny into $1 million miracle. Imagine the feeling. Your heart pounding as you realize what you're holding. A coin that costs 1 cent to spend, suddenly worth more than most people's homes. That's the dream every collector lives for. And the stories keep building. Rumors of other examples locked away in private vaults. Auction houses preparing for record-shattering sales. And ordinary people, regular folks like you, checking their pocket change every night, hoping for that life-changing discovery. First, don't assume every 2014 penny is valuable. 99% are worth exactly 1 cent. The rare ones reveal themselves in the mint mark. Use a magnifying glass. Study the D carefully. If it looks stretched, if the letters Rit seem faintly pressed into the surface, you may have found something extraordinary. Be wary of fakes. Some people try to scratch or alter coins to mimic the error, but real experts can spot the difference instantly. The true Rit D mint mark has a specific flow, a natural misalignment that no human hand can fake. So the next time you empty your pockets, don't just see pennies. See possibilities. Because one of those coins, maybe sitting in your desk, maybe hiding in your change jar, could be the exact 2014 Rit D penny that changes everything. And if you're lucky enough to spot it, you'll be holding not just copper and zinc, but a story worth telling forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.